At Highland Hill Farm, for 35 years, we've been selling screening and shading trees for buffers and windbreaks and to block neighbors and things like that. It turns out that the biggest part of our business is just that. Neighbors trying to screen out and buffer themselves from neighbors. So we've heard over the years every conceivable kind of story about screening for and buffering for neighbors, and neighbors that hate each other and want to kill each other or want to block each other out. But one time we had a story that just strikes us as the most unusual that we've ever had. A man shows up at our yard and he says, I need some screening trees that will only last till the year 2012. And I asked him, well, why just 2012? And he said, well, because the world's going to end. So I only need them to last a year or two because 2012 is just around the block. And, you know, the world's going to end. And I looked at him, okay, what kind of trees do you need? Okay, he says he needs hemlocks because he's a little bit shady and it's a rough area, but he needs big trees because he doesn't want to wait because the world's going to end. And he keeps stressing, the world's going to end in 2012. Okay, I got the message, sir. I'll take you out and I'll show you some hemlocks because hemlocks do pretty well in shade and they're fairly nice and bushy and they can provide some good coverage. So I proceed to take him out in the field and show him some trees. Well, he just doesn't want little trees. He wants big trees. So I said to him, how big do you want these trees to be? And he says, I want 14-foot trees. I'm tired of my neighbors looking in at me. I want some real coverage. I want it now. Okay, so I show him the 14-foot trees. He says, how much are they? Well, these trees, you know, these are $400 for the trees and $200 to deliver and plant. 600 bucks, he says. I'll take 10 of them. When can you deliver them? Well, I said, well, I don't know. I said, well, that's a pretty big order, and I got to talk to my sons and, you know, see when we can do it. I got to put it on our schedule. I want these trees now. He says, the world's going to end in 2012. Okay, I should have remembered. He's a very impatient person. And so, okay, we'll do it next Saturday, I tell him. Very good. So he whips out $6,000 in cash green money and hands it to me and gives me the address on Edison Road in Doylestown and says, Saturday morning, be there right at 9 o'clock. Okay, yep. So I call my sons. I tell my sons, Jamie and Mike, I tell them, Jamie and Mike, you got to dig some trees. We got to dig 10 of these great big hemlocks over here. I show them the trees, and they look at them. Okay, so they bring the machines over, and they proceed to dig the trees. Well, on the appointed date, the boys go down. They take the trees down to this man's house. And sure enough, he does have a shaded lot. And the whole time that my boys are there, he's complaining about the neighbors watching him and peeping in on him and, you know, just pacing up and down. And so they don't have to last. So just, you know, just give me till 2012 and I'll be out of here with everybody else because the world's going to end. So my boys are putting the trees in, and as they're putting the trees in, he brings out this great big blue tarp, and start to tarp the trees. My son says, listen, man, you can't, you know, the trees the hemlocks are pretty good in shade, but they're not good in total shade. You put that tarp on these trees and they're going to die. He says, it doesn't matter. I just want the blockage here. I got to have it now. Okay, he's got to have it now. So I tell Jamie and Mike, I said, listen, man, let the guy put the tarp on. It just doesn't matter. The trees are going to die anyway. You know, it's 2012 is just around the block. He'll have them killed by then. So my sons are a little upset with doing the job because they figure, you know, this is going to be a problem, blah, 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 blah. I said, no, look, Jimmy, the guy paid me. I already got paid. Don't worry. You know, do the job. So, okay, they finish the job. Well, the guy's all happy. My boys leave. I'm happy. You know, life doesn't get much better until the next week he comes back. And I see him driving in the driveway. Oh, my God, here he comes again. So he gets out of the vehicle, and he comes over to me, and he says, I really like those trees. That's a shocker. So he says, I really like those trees. Could I get 10 more? I said, well, certainly, not a problem. So, you know, I give him the tagging tape. He crosses the bridge to get to the back of our property where we have these trees, and he starts walking on back, and he's proceeding to tag the trees. In the driveway comes a pickup truck, roaring in. A man and a woman get out, and this man gets out and starts screaming at me, I'm going to sue you. Oh, who are you? You planted trees on my property. He starts screaming at me. What are you talking about? He says, you planted some hemlocks on my property. I didn't plant any hemlocks on your property. What are you talking about? He says, you planted hemlocks last Saturday on my property. I'm on Edison Road. And, you know, you shouldn't have planted them there. You didn't have permission from me. I'm going to sue you. You're going to have to take those trees. Whoa, 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 man. I said, listen, I didn't plant any trees for you. The only person I planted trees for recently down on that road was that guy way out there. Oh, that's my pervert tenant, he says. He's on Megan's list. That mother, blah, 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 you know, on and on and on. He didn't have, that's my tenant. He didn't have permission to plant on those, but I live right next to him, and I don't like those trees there, and I want them off. I said, whoa, 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 whoa. I said, look, man, why don't you calm down, calm down. You know, I'll go talk to the guy and see what I can do. So, you know, I walk over to this guy out in the field. I said, man, I got a real problem. You got these trees, they're planted here on your neighbor's property, and your neighbor's your tenant, and your neighbor owns the ground, and you weren't supposed to plant them there, and you should have asked. Well, I didn't think it would matter. It's, you know, I rent the ground. What the hell? He says, I rent the ground. I said, listen, man, this guy is really upset. I said, you know, you're in trouble. He's called the police on you, he says, and, you know, all this, you know, you got me involved in it. I'm going to have to take those trees out. You know, it's going to cost you money. How much is it going to cost you to move the trees? I said, well, it's going to cost at least like $2,000 to move those trees. That's big trees. We got to move them. Oh, geez. So he gets all upset. So now I got to figure out what the hell. I don't want to move these trees. So I got this idea. I thought, well, I said to the guy, I said, well, why don't you, you know, since the trees only have to last till 2012, why don't you just rent the ground till 2012, and then tell him after 2012 he can get rid of the trees any which way he wants. But until then, you just rent the ground. He says, do you think he'll do that? I said, yeah. I said, why don't you, you know, it's going to cost you $2,000 to move the trees. I said, why don't you offer him $1,000 to move the trees and $1,000 to have some more, and I'll go talk to the man. And he says, do you think you could do that? I said, yeah, give me the money. I'll see if I can't square it away from you. So he reaches in his pocket. He pulls out $2,000. I put it into my pocket. I walk back over to this landlord. I said, man, you know, this guy's nuts. I said, this guy, he thinks the world's going to end in 2012. Yeah, he thinks the world's going to end, but he's a friggin' pervert, and he's on Mega. And okay, I know all about that, but let's discuss the problem here at hand. And he's got these trees, and I got to move them, or you know, something. I said, why don't you, you know, the guy's nuts. I mean, you believe him, you know, he's on Megan's list, and he thinks the world's going to end in 2020. He's nuts. I said, well, why don't you just rent him the ground till 2012? Ah, he won't do that. I said, man, I'm sure he would. You know, why don't you tell him you need $1,000, you know, to rent the ground till 2012, and he can have him there till then. But after 2012, the trees come out. He says, you think he'd go for that? Yeah, I'll go talk to the guy. So I go back over. I say, well, this deal's almost set. I said to the guy, you know, I'll go back and I'll talk to him. I'll see if he, you know, about these other trees. So I go back to the landlord again, and I said to him, I said, well, you know, he'd probably be good with that, but he really wants 10 more trees, so he's offering you another $1,000. He'll give you $2,000 to have 20 hemlocks planted there until 2012, and after that you can tear them down because the world's going to end. He says, you think you're going to go with that? Yeah, man, he'll go with that. He said, you know, look, he just gave me the money. And I whipped out of my pocket the $2,000. He says, right here, all you got to do is say you want it. The guy says, I'll take the money. So I handed him the $2,000. Man, he's happier than a pig in shit, man. He said, man, this is good. $2,000 to have the dumb trees there. And I can remove them after 2012. I said, yeah, you can remove them after 2012. Oh, this is great. So the landlord's all happy. He's so happy, in fact, he gives me a $200 tip. Oh, wow, that makes my day. So I go back over and I tell the guy, well, it's all set. You can have 10 more. Oh, that's great. So he whips out $6,000 more for the trees and hands me a $200 tip as well. Now I got $6,000 more for the 10 more trees and $400 in tips from both of them. And as they both leave the driveway and drive out of the driveway, all happy, happy campers, they each are waving to me, and the landlord says, I ain't calling the police no more, I'm calling you. Okay, so why don't you call me if you have a screening and buffering problem at Highland Hill Farm. My telephone number is 215-651-8329. I can solve your screening and buffering problems. After all, I've seen every kind of problem on this planet Earth with neighbors hating neighbors. Thank you.